Well, we've got some tickets we got to tell you about here in 10 minutes. Show just got announced. We had to hold on to this thing for a while. But first, we have the police chief of Kansas City, Missouri, Stacy Graves, kind enough to join us for a few minutes here on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio. Of course, all eyes are on this investigation, nightclub shooting, leaving two women dead early on Sunday morning. There were memorials that were put out yesterday outside of that nightclub on Southwest Boulevard and 28th Street. Chief, good morning. What can you tell us and share with us this morning on this case and where it currently stands?
Good morning, Pete. Yeah, that was a tragic morning on Sunday at just after 2 a.m. at the nightclub. But I do have some I don't know if you'd say this is good news, but, you know, in our world it is, that we do have a person in custody and charged. That person was in custody and charged before 6:30 last night. The individual has been charged with murder times 2, obviously assault in first and second degree, armed criminal action, and also unlawful use of a weapon. So we do have a person in custody. That person is charged for that horrific event that happened. Okay, well, that's a pretty quick turnaround. I'm sure there's details that you can share, but was this someone who knew the victims? That I don't have all the details on that, but I can tell you that there was some really great work by the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department detectives, knowing how tragic the scene was, and went right into action and got him into custody within 48 hours. How open did people who were there that night seem to be when it comes to talking to law enforcement, and how critical was that in getting this person into custody? You know, I think what's critical these days and what's the expectation in modern policing is the usage of cameras, physical evidence, and just good old-fashioned police work as far as, interviewing folks. I can't give you particular information on who provided information and who didn't, but I can tell you that we oftentimes use some of that digital, cameras is what I'm referring to, and such that helps us lead to suspects quicker. Okay, because it does seem like there was an issue, especially going back a few years, mistrust from the police, and I would call it media malpractice on behalf of law enforcement as well, where a lot of people just said, I don't want to talk to the cops. Do you feel like that is starting to rehab itself over time? Yeah, and that's reflected in our homicide clearance rates. The last 2 years have been one of the highest clearance rates we've had here at KCPD. One was 76% and one was 75%, which is well above the national average. And that is indicative of more trust with the community. It also speaks to police legitimacy. Police Chief Stacy Graves on KCMO Talk Radio. So that person is in custody in the nightclub shooting as of 6:30 p.m. Last night, sharing that right here on KCMO. So, Chief, obviously, there's a budget, I don't want to call it a battle, debate going on right now. You're looking for more money than what the city budget currently has planned for the next fiscal year. How does that impact you going forward, and what is it going to look like for you as this negotiation goes on the next few weeks? Well, this is something that happens, numerous times since I've been here, a member of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, where you get down to the last 3 months of the year, you need to cut back, you need to tighten the belt on some of the costs that we have going out the door. One that is obviously overtime, because that's one of the things that we do have control over. There'll be no disruption of police service in Kansas City. We'll continue to prioritize our city's policing needs, which is one reason for some of the overtime usage we've had this past year. I want to make sure that we're responsive to needs in our community and make sure that we are, addressing some of those issues as they pop up. And I truly believe that because of some of our presence in areas throughout our city has resulted in reductions in crime in all categories. Again, that could also lead to or could be reflected in police legitimacy and trust as well. But in addition to that, as we've been in a lot of places this past year, whether it be entertainment districts, different crime reduction efforts in different parts of our city, we've really hit it hard. But as we go into budget negotiations, we've already our finance team, or our fiscal team and the city finances have already worked through a budget that is going to be presented before City Hall, before City Council, and I hope that continues forward. I will say that throughout all the departments, there is a request for significant reductions in a submitted budget, which we got down to what we think we can live with. And I will say, this past budget that we're living in right now, it was prepared in the fall of 24. That was 17 months ago, and it's been managed to within less than 1%, and that's under circumstances of increasing personnel, the costs associated with personnel, and we've also achieved positive trends in crime statistics. We've resolved several claims, and we've also adopted a lot of practices to mitigate future claims. But I got to tell you, this is not something that's new. The words used as it being a leaked email, I sent that to every employee of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. I would not characterize that as a leaked email. If you send an email out to that many people, somebody's going to probably get some eyes on it. But that's nothing that I'm hiding here as a leader of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. When I am looking at projections, and I keep an eye on the budget all throughout the year, and if we're starting to look like we're going to go over, it means we need to cut back towards it. We have to make budget.
Okay, so you're saying no noticeable cut in basic services in Kansas City, just kind of tightening up the belt buckle on some of the other things. One thing that Mayor Lucas alluded to last week is that, the city is spending too much money on lawsuit settlements through KCPD, and he wants to see action from the state in terms of capping some of those settlements. How do you want to see all that handled?
When it comes to the lawsuits, one reason why we have had, I would say, an increase in number of lawsuits right now is we are starting to see cases that were held up back in the COVID when courts were closed. Some of those are coming to, they're coming in now where we're flooded with some. But one was a 1990s wrongful conviction case, which nobody here, I don't think we have anyone law enforcement that's still here from when that case went through. That being said, we're kind of put in an impossible position because we have to navigate some of these lawsuits out of our operating budget, which is something that we're working with the mayor on as we speak, and just seeing what that looks like going forward. As far as caps at the state, I will say that the state does help us. They do provide some funding every year for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. But as far as caps, I agree. There's some decisions or either from juries or judgments, and it's just an astronomical amount. And I got to tell you, usually, even if we do have a good case, sometimes the juries don't necessarily look in favor of the police department. It's a sad thing to say, but it's true. And when we have some of these claims, we have to make sure that we take into account what it's going to cost on either way. You can't necessarily make those decisions on principle. It's almost sometimes how are we being the most fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars.
And then on that note, do you feel like the city is properly fighting back and defending itself on these lawsuits, or do you think there's more that can be done? Because it does seem like in some cases, I'm not saying every time, but that, for some people, they're looking for an easy payday on this stuff.
Yeah, there are cases like that, but there's also been some cases where we feel like we have a good case and we do take that to court, and it doesn't get ruled in our favor. So we have to weigh the risk of that and potentially end up with a bigger judgment than we would have if we would have mediated it.
Please.
And that's a hard thing. That's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, especially as a member of this police department coming up. At times, I didn't really understand how those decisions were made, but here in this position right now, I've just got to weigh that. I would love to fight everything on principle, but that's not always the best choice. It's not always the most fiscally responsible thing to do.
How many cops do you want to hire this year?
Oh my goodness, I want to hire. I want to have 1,309 by May the 1st. I don't know if we're going to get there, but I'm sure my people have got the foot on the gas. It's all gas, no brakes. Trying to get that number. We have asked for 50 additional officers in this budget that is effective on May 1, and that is already built in from what I understand.
All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. So you feel like you're in a pretty good place then with City Hall, because there has been the insinuation that maybe everyone's not swimming in the same direction right now, but that's not the sense I'm getting from you as we go through this process.
No, this is something that's usually worked out between our fiscal team and city finance. We work a lot on that on the budget. We meet throughout the year, especially, when we're in budget season like we are now. We've had some really good conversations with the city manager, and we're not at the amount that we submitted. I will tell you that, but there's been some projections at the city that has caused us to have to really break it down to even sometimes to bare bones to make sure that we have enough just to get through the year, and that's what we're going towards. And I wish that it was more. But, we're going to have to just make do, and we will have more officers coming online here in the next year, so hopefully that will reduce some of our overtime as well. I got to tell you, though, Pete, this past year and every year, the members of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, we show up. They show up. They do good work. They're out here getting the job done every day. And, we've asked a lot of them this past couple of years, and that is what you've seen in the reduction in some of those numbers. Also, obviously, there's community participation in that, but I can't speak highly enough of the members of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and what they put into the city and their service every day.
Chief, thank you as always for the time. We appreciate you hopping on, and we will talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
There you go. Stacy Graves, Police Chief, Kansas City, Missouri, on KCMO Talk Radio. Appreciate her hopping on the show for a few minutes.